In this video, I'm going to be showing you 5 proven ways to help make your chickens live a pretty healthy life. So if you want to find out how to make your chickens live a pretty nice and healthy life, I'm going to be going over 5 tips and a bonus tip at the end of the video. So you don't want to miss that. Be sure to stay tuned and enjoy the video. So first things first, we need to get the obvious one out of the way, and that one is very simple, and it is just simply improving their chicken feed. Now you see, this one's pretty self-explanatory. The chickens will have 2 different types of feed throughout their life. They'll have that chick starter feed, which is what you give them from the first week until I'd say like 15 or 16 weeks old. And then you have their egg layer pellets, which gives them the proper amount of cholesterol and other similar things to help them lay eggs. However, what I will say, is that sometimes it's not nearly enough. So you'll notice your chickens will lay some shellless eggs or something similar, some like really weak shelled eggs that like break whenever they make slight contact with anything. Yeah, that's a sign of low cholesterol. So how do you raise that cholesterol, I hear you asking? Well, it's very simple. So you go to the store, you buy some oyster shells, you incorporate that in their chicken feed or their treats. You see that cholesterol? You'll see a pretty immediate reaction to that. You'll notice that they're laying more eggs, and they'll be, because sometimes it's not that they're laying less eggs, just that they're laying shellless eggs, and that you won't be able to find them. So with a higher cholesterol level with the chickens, you'll be able to see more eggs coming from them. That'll actually be not weak, that'll be pretty strong, be able to withstand the really grueling task of being placed onto a countertop, unlike some eggs. That's what we've been doing recently over here, and we've noticed a pretty nice increase of egg production so far this year, especially in the farm flock, who are laying more consistently. Also, something else to note about here is that giving them treats does actually help them as long as you're giving them the right stuff. I'd say give them the right stuff daily and give them some more like unhealthy stuff only every now and then to help keep their health levels as high as possible. So like we give them lettuce and some similar things, the grains like bread and stuff like that to them every single day, and they enjoy it. It's pretty nice and healthy for them, but like we'll give them less healthy stuff only very rarely. Like if I'm filming like a high effort video that'll be coming out soon, by the way, you can like and subscribe if you're wanting to see that. But back to the point, if you're giving them something like that for their special event or something like that, then it's fine as long as it's only kept in like a really low like level of like. So we have keeping them in a really nice and clean coop, because their clean coop will determine how good they're going to do during the day. Could potentially prevent them from getting serious diseases or attracting mice or rats, which will eat away at their feathers and potentially cause issues in the flock and transmit more diseases. Yeah, I don't want to hear all that. So it's really simple. Clean their coop, I'd say every 5 to 7 days if you're like brand new at raising chickens, because if you're brand new at raising chickens, then you're probably going to notice that like you find it hard to create a schedule around them. I'd recommend 5 to 7 days for cleaning the coop. Once you get a little bit better at it, then maybe you might be able to do like every 8 to 10 days. But really don't do 2 weeks. If you have to like go on vacation or something like that, then like you can tell if you like get someone to help clean the chicken coop if you're gonna be on vacation for longer than like 10 days. If it's less than 10 days, I'd recommend cleaning it like the night before you leave, and then the second you get back, then you can clean it again or something similar to that. You don't want to clean it like every day because that's a waste of energy. However, a clean chicken coop can really go a long way. And tip number 3 might also actually come to a surprise to some people, and that's keeping as few roosters in your flock as possible. Roosters can cause some significant injuries to chickens if they are around them improperly. It's like sometimes you'll notice that like your roosters will like, when they mate with your chickens, they'll begin destroying their feathers. And during a molt, that's all right, but like when their feathers are beginning to grow back, they're gonna be spending a ton of resources and energy growing back those feathers. So when the rooster mates with the chickens, then it'll like cause more and more of their feathers to like be removed, and that'll just waste more and more energy, which could decrease not only their health levels, but also their egg levels, which is sometimes you might notice that like for many months on end, while your chickens are molting, you might notice that they're laying fewer and fewer eggs, and then once they're out of that molt, they're back to their peak self. That happened to my chickens at their 1.5-year-old molt, which when I got them back in March of 2020, that happened in September 2021. I remember that molt really well. I documented it pretty well, and yeah, that molt is no joke. So I'd recommend that like just let them be, and a recommended rooster ratio is 10:1. However, you can go like 10 hens to 1 rooster. However, if you really want to, you can go up to 80 hens to 1 rooster. Once you get past 80 hens and 1 rooster, then it might become mayhem. The chickens might overthrow the rooster. So 80 hens to 2 roosters is all right, or you can do 20 hens to 2 roosters, as long as it's really nice and safe in that flock. And tip number 3 sounds simple when I like mention it, but like it's well, it could be potentially significantly difficult to like actually execute it, and that is keeping predators away from your chickens. It's a literal no-brainer. Everybody knows, oh, you don't want to keep those coyotes or raccoons or skunks by your chicken coop. It's so simple, just keep them away. When I talk about it, I make it sound really easy. However, in actual stark contrast, you'll notice that it's actually really hard to keep them away. This fence right here, this fence that we have in this chicken coop is not nearly enough to keep the raccoons away. Like, yeah, it has a nice purpose. My chicken coop is portable, moves on wheels. We can move the yard as well because, as you can probably tell, I do this. I can lift up the fence. There's too many weeds around here. I need to do some weed whacking. This is an example right here. I can lift up the fence and put it back in the ground as needed, which can actually help limit the hawk attacks. However, there's tons of other things you can do if you're keeping them in a stationary area. To keep like coyotes out, you can like make the fence as tall as possible and also dig into the ground a little bit and make it as low as possible. But that's really it. There's not a whole lot of ways to keep them out. However, their chicken coop should be their safe area. That chicken coop, there is ways to keep them out. I'm gonna go on a limb and say my chicken coop could probably survive a bear attack. It could easily survive coyotes and other stuff like that, but like maybe a bear, if like the bear like hits the gym every day, lifts 200 at the gym. So tip number 4 in today's video is going to be giving them enough water. Now this is really simple and straightforward, and I'll keep this brief because it's quite simple. Because chickens need their water, especially on days like today, where today it was 94 degrees and it's supposed to be 99 tomorrow. It was originally 103, but now it's going down to 99. Hopefully it goes back down to 58 degrees so I can actually enjoy tomorrow, but it probably won't. So my chickens are beating the heat that way. They'll be that way. They won't be thirsty. They won't be like dehydrated, and that way they stay hydrated. You know, you got to give them that water to stay hydrated. So, you know, that's why chickens will continue to live. I don't know the exact day they can't go without water for, but I'm gonna say give them as much water as possible. On days like today, probably like twice a day, maybe even 3 times a day, should refill their water. And finally, tip number 5 is to give them access to plenty of greens like grass and other stuff like that. Some people will raise their chickens in cages for the most of their life, and I don't really like that. But like if you're going to have to like live in an area where like there's literally predators that like just walk outside in packs and herds and stuff like that, what you should probably do is you should probably like throw some grass or stuff like that in there, especially if they're like baby chicks and they're gonna be outside soon. What you could probably do is you could probably like take some grass and throw it in there to give them a taste as to what's going to be outside soon. But at the very end of the day, if you're just going to be keeping them outside, make sure they have an area that has tons of grass. If they like destroy the grass in one area and move them to another area, they could probably plant some grass in the area to help compensate for any lost grass in the area. Because trust me, your chickens are going to need grass in their life. My chickens love grass, as you can probably see, and it's not just grass, it's like plants and other stuff like that. Very clear by the destruction of my strawberry patch from last year, by just how much they love their greens and stuff like that. Now earlier in this video I said there would be a bonus tip, and here it is, and it's giving them enough entertainment. It sounds very simple at the surface, but it's super important because your chickens will love you if you give them the proper amount of entertainment every single day. They're going to need that form of entertainment. Now, if you want to learn a little bit more about chickens and entertainment, you can click the video on screen, which shows you some easy ways to keep your chickens living that luxury life. And it'll teach you all the basics to that. It was posted back in January. I'll see you there.